Hello, morning everybody. As you can see, it's Nick. As you can probably also see, I'm on a beach. So yeah, I'm sat in sunny Malta. Actually, it's a really lovely place. It's quite rugged. It's quite rugged, quite barren, but there's a real Mediterranean vibe to it. My goodness, people are just delightful. Honestly, I've never been anywhere they're so delightful. But back to the point in hand, menopause. So you may or may not know, but I've been kind of running a bit of an experiment on myself. So this is week 4 of not being on any medication at all, including my HRT. And the reason that I stopped that was because I felt like I was layering stuff, and it just felt like I couldn't really get to the bottom of what was going on. So about 7 or 8 weeks ago now, we keep getting basically a dodgy thyroid result back, which suggests I need to take thyroxine, and I started taking that a couple of months ago, and it made me feel absolutely dreadful. Now, it may just be the brand I was taking, I don't know, but what I thought was, well, I'll stop taking it. And my GP and I discussed this and made the plan between us, so I haven't just gone off piste and done my own thing. So there is a big caveat here. I am so blessed in that I have a truly wonderful GP who is somebody that I actually, I don't have quick 10-minute diagnostic pure symptom conversations. I would say we have a relationship and have had done for many, many years. So we really discuss my symptoms and how I'm feeling in a very holistic and contextual manner of me and what's normal for me. I know not everybody has that. I am hugely appreciative, but I think it's so vitally important with the menopause, because I think the menopause is as emotional and psychological as it is physical. I think it is one of the times in our life when it is so important to view ourselves as a whole. And for those, as an aside, for those of you that might be interested, I've started reading Gabor Mate. I'm actually going to see him speak in September, and he's a US physician who basically, his hypothesis is just that we can't just treat medical physical symptoms without understanding the whole of a person, including the psychological, the mental and the environmental impact. So the environment we live in and how that is affecting us as human beings, our mental well-being and our physical, and how things manifest. Back to the point in hand, I'll just put the morning music on. I'm here really early because my husband's gone off diving, so I thought I would just enjoy the morning sunrise and quietness before the crowd say it is August in Malta. So I came off the thyroxine, and almost immediately I felt better. So that was definitely a tick. Okay. And then with further discussions with my GP, I was still having some other symptoms which just didn't feel very nice. Really constipated. I was extremely bloated, really, like, I was uncomfortably bloated. And I was having spasms, particularly in my neck, across here, and some other aches and pains. And my tiredness was actually, still pretty pants. So between the two of us, we said, you know what? Let's give HRT a rest, because I've been using HRT gel, which is pretty new for me. I've always really got on with the patches. I've been on the patches for about 6 years, but my body decided to start rejecting them. So we've moved on to the gel about 6 or 7 months ago, and it's never really felt as good. So I did warn everybody. I've given fair warning. Okay, I'm coming off HRT. This could be a rough ride for all involved. And this is a bit of an update on what's happened. So this is week 4. So my constipation's completely gone, and my bloatedness is far better than it was. I would say that I had I was kind of feeling old and achy up until about last week, and then it's just kind of stopped. So I don't know if that's kind of getting over a hump and my body getting used to something. The big thing that I'm left with, but I had on the HRT and I still am having now, is just, wow, the hot flushes, the heat, the ability to control your body temperature is really, really difficult. And that hasn't got any worse not being on it, but it certainly hasn't got any better. Obviously it's hot here in Malta, but when I'm at home in the UK, I'm really, really struggling with my body temperature, and I'm just so hot all of the time. For anybody else out there struggling with it, I mean, it's at the point where I'm pretty much not wearing makeup at the minute because it literally just slides off my face. It's just too much hassle. And even the thought of blow drying my hair, I'm just too hot. I just leave it to dry naturally. So I'm not sure. Yeah, I mean, I'm on week 4, which I think is still early days. What I have noticed is that I'm not sleeping as much as I thought I would be. I'm not as tired, so the excruciating fatigue hasn't yet come back. Now, what I don't know is whether 4 weeks later I've still got some of that estrogen in my system. So I think it's really important for me to probably do well. I'm going to check in with my GP next week when I get back, and then we'll kind of take a measure of where we are. Maybe have a look at the latest blood results and see what the estrogen levels are telling us, and then make a call. So I think the next best step for me is just to check in with my GP next week. I have actually been keeping a journal because, I do forget, but again, my forgetfulness and brain fog is still there, but it's not I wouldn't say it's any worse yet, not being on the HRT, so I don't know if that's going to change. The thing that is really acute, and this was acute on the HRT, and I would say has probably got a little bit worse off, the sensory overload is just horrendous. It is really, really bad. And I'm actually, my endocrinologist, my menopause consultant, has actually referred me to see a hearing specialist. So I don't know whether the sensory overload is a combination of the menopause and making me acutely sensitive to the noise and the environment around me, or whether actually there's something going on with my hearing. So probably need to get to the bottom of that, because it does raise a real primal anxiety in me when I'm feeling the sensory overload. And the other big thing I have noticed coming off HRT, and do you know what I'd liken it to? I remember years ago when I took antidepressants when I had postnatal depression after my 3rd child. And the thing that worked for me taking them for the 6-month period was that it dulls the extremity of the feeling. And at that point in time, I really needed that, because my brain and my world, I just needed time to catch up and process stuff. And then somehow after 6 months, I came off them gradually again. I had, wonderful GP support at the time. My brain had kind of caught up, and it feels a little bit like that with HRT. So some of the emotional side is pretty acute. One of the things that I'm finding most acute is my kids are now teenagers, and I'm actually finding it quite difficult sometimes to even look at pictures of them when they were younger, because there's a grief that comes with it, because they're no longer those little toddlers, those little babies that are, they have that unconditional innocence, that attachment to you. And at the time, you think it's quite difficult because you're really tired, and young kids, they're less independent, so by definition they're more hard work. And I'm on holiday in Malta, and there's a lot of in the hotel I'm in, it's a massive hotel, but there's a lot of young families, and I find myself looking at them, and there's some really sweet, cute families. And on one hand, I'm really pleased that I don't have to do that work, and I can have the freedom, and I can read a book and go for a swim when I want, and I'm not worrying about where my kids are and what they're doing. They're 15, 17 years old. They're mini adults. But on the other hand, there is definitely a grief associated, and I don't know whether this is normal and happens as your kids are growing up, this grief of knowing that time has gone. And I think particularly with teenagers, you're in a transitional phase, so we haven't quite established what our adult relationship's going to be, but our mum-child relationship's gone, and it feels like there's this no man's land in between, and that makes it, I want to cry now, that makes me really, really sad. And I think there's a lot of reflection going on about, what could I have done better? How could I have been a better mum? How could I have been more patient, less shouty? Because I was always, I think I was quite shouty and stressed some of the time, just because I was tired, I was overwhelmed. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing most of the time, and to be honest, I still don't now. But I would say that the emotional feelings and the emotional side of me is much, much more acute now I've come off the HRT. I am really feeling, oh my God, I am really feeling. And the best way to describe it particularly is the most intense and sensitive feelings I get are with my kids, and the grief associated with, did I get it right? Because it's gone, and it ain't coming back. I don't get another bite at the cherry here. And what damage have I left? What value have I left with them? How has my parenting helped shape them? How is my parenting going to give them their start in life? And it really worries me, because I don't think I was always such a great parent. And I think I could have been better, and fucking hell, there's the irony of life, you know, if only I'd known then what I know now. But hey ho, here we are, right? Maybe I'll be a better grandparent. Maybe. But I think that is worth mentioning, because I think that grief can come up in many different guises. And one of the things Gabor Mate talks about is we all have trauma. He talks about small t trauma and large t trauma, but you know, part of the whole essence of being a human being is we have trauma. And my hypothesis that I've always had since day dot with my menopause is the menopause absolutely knocks the lid off any unhealed wounds and traumas. And maybe you know, it's making me look at some aspects of who I am as a person and how I can sometimes be that I'm not terribly comfortable with and I don't like very much. But there's definitely something about the menopause which really opens up psychological stuff and makes it, it's like HD, vivid, technicolor, and that is much more acute off the HRT. Now, is that good or is that bad? I don't know. I think I'm just going to carry on weathering the storm. What I would always, and this is a consistent thing that I've said, is just being aware, just actually almost kind of observing myself, even when I'm in the moment, even when I'm really upset and really can't cope with things. Actually one thing did happen the other week when there was like lots of squabbling and discussion at the dinner table. It was a combination of emotional triggers, sensory overload and tiredness, and I just couldn't cope with it at all, not being on the HRT, and I actually took myself off to our kind of outside shed area, and I actually slept in there for the night because I just needed the space and silence. I just couldn't cope with it all. So I think, but again, you know, is this a natural part of aging? You know, is this a natural part of our bodies saying, you know, there's just too much going on around us, I just need some silence, I just need some space, I just need to step away from this and give myself some time to process stuff. So that's the latest and greatest. So, you know, as ever, this isn't about having solutions or answers or anything, because the menopause is hugely individual, and I think it's to do with who we are as humans and the life we've led and the wounds we've had, the experiences we've had, you know, physiology, all kinds of things. I'm just sharing the experiments and the observations I'm having on myself, in the hope that, you know, that whole Me Too thing is of use. Okay, lots of love. Bye.